Welcome, everyone, to Mythstorie, a podcast about myths and history. I am one of your hosts, Bryant, with my permanent guest, Cammy.
Hi,
Cammy,
Bryant.
what up?
um,
Cammy,
just
one more month, and the year's done.
oh yay,
We're at the end.
2022.
I know, yeah. So, everyone, welcome. Mystery is a show. We talk about myths and legends. We've got a fun topic today. We're going into the crusty stuff in the corner of your eye when you wake up, the Sandman. But we missed a couple of weeks. We took some time off for Thanksgiving, so we appreciate you guys bearing with us. I'm also going through the process of kind of revamping older episodes when we didn't really know what was going on. And so we're gonna, get the older episodes a little fresher and cleaner. We've also taken out some that are unsalvageable, but you can actually get access to those. So if you really do, just feel free to get in touch with me, and I can show you how. But anyway, Cammy, we're talking about the Sandman. This is actually a really interesting topic, right?
Yes, it goes back a lot further than I imagined. I thought it was going to be just a European folktale, but it
And
ended up
well, I'll
not being
break your
that.
heart right now. I'll rip the Band-Aid off. You're right, but like a lot of like European, Scandinavian stuff, nobody wrote anything down until
Right.
they became Christians, but then they weren't going to write that down. So they were like, can't do that. It's not Jesus. He's not sprinkling sawdust in your eyes. That'd be cool. Anyway, Cammy's got a story, and then I'll talk a little bit about some of that origin of where the Sandman comes from and all that. Metallica fans, stay tuned. All right, Cammy, take it away.
Okay, so I used Greek legends and myths for this, and I also used okay, so on YouTube there is a thing called audiobooks for smart kids.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
And it's Hans Christian Andersen's um Ol Luke Oli, the Sandman.
Lukuja. I think it's
Is that how you
Lukuja.
say it? Because that's not how they were saying it.
Oh,
Anyway,
really?
yeah,
Oh,
I don't know. Look,
he's
I don't
Dutch.
know how smart the kids are.
Yeah. Kids are smart, but the makers aren't. I'm pretty sure it's in Dutch.
I never looked up how to pronounce it either, so maybe I'm just misremembering. But um, they spell it two ways too, like one in the Scandinavian and one they use like an English
Oh, okay.
spelling. So I don't know. In the evening, after supper has warmed the bellies of children, and they are sent to their rooms, a kindly stranger quietly sneaks up the stairs or down the hall and joins the children. When he opens their doors, he flicks the sweetest milk into their eyes so that they cannot see him. Then he breathes upon their necks until their heads are too heavy to move, and they drift off to sleep. When they are lightly snoring, he takes out one of two umbrellas and opens it above their heads. The one he opens for good children is full of beautiful stories of adventure and happy frolics in the meadow. The one he opens for children who have been bad that day is empty and gives them restless, dreamless sleep. He is the Sandman. This god of dream is always busy keeping the children in their beds throughout the night, but he wasn't always a simple bard dictating the realm of sleep. Many years ago, when the first storytellers did not know writing, so they could only convey their words through song, the Sandman, then known as Morpheus, had a duty to the other gods. He would deliver the messages of the gods that they could not bear to convey. There was one such a night when Hera, disturbed by the Queen of Thessaly's prayers for the safe return of her dead husband lost at sea, sent word to Morpheus that he must be the one to deliver the message of sorrow to the widow. He agreed and came to her in the night, drenched in salty waves in the form of her husband. When she extended her arm to bring him to her, he disappeared. The queen woke with a start and sobbed, for she knew her husband was gone. She went to the shore in her dressing clothes and saw the horror of her dead husband floating against the rocks. As she went to fling herself onto the rocks, the gods took pity on her and turned her into a kingfisher. They too gave life to the king's bloated corpse, and he rose out of the water as a kingfisher. The two now live out their days happy together again.
Interesting. That's cool that you was that in the original story tying it Morpheus and the
No,
Sandman? Oh,
no, it
okay,
went
no.
on through. It was to me, it was convoluted
Sure.
because he went through 7 days of like this kid having the Sandman visit him, and it
Yeah.
just was a little boring.
Sure,
So
sure.
just to be honest, so I went
No,
to
that's
the
great.
Greek.
Yeah, and that is kind of where it like it's tough. Like like I said, ripping the Band-Aid off. The Sandman is clearly in European folklore. I kind of say like think of the Viking countries, so like Scandinavia, the Danes, that sort of Dutch. There's a clear like there's a clear figure who sprinkles crap in your eye. Like that's kind of the characteristic that these um guys have. They have different names. Like in Dutch, they call him Klaasvak. Uh, then there's like a Romanian version, um, and then like a Hans Christian Andersen, or no, Klaasvak might be Danish, and then Hans Christian Andersen writing Ole Luksha. Um, that that goes from like the Dutch thing, and it's sort of the sprinkling stuff. I think what's really interesting though from this is that it seems like, and again to reiterate, there's no like old source, there's no like Nordic rune that says like, oh yeah, the Sandman is coming to sprinkle stuff in your eyes. But so it's very much, like we've talked about Hans Christian Andersen before, and the fairy tales, and he's kind of a pioneer on just writing this stuff down and getting a coherent universe down, a fairy tale universe kind of set. But these stories are as old as these civilizations are in many cases. But the one really interesting thing though is it doesn't seem like the Sandman was sinister until the 19th century. It seems like it was pretty like harmless and a nicer kind of thing you would tell your kids. Not like in England in the 19th century you'd be like, Jack's gonna kill you if you don't go to bed. It was just like, oh, the Sandman's coming, he's gonna sprinkle in your eyes and then you'll go to sleep. So and they'd wake up and they'd be like, what is this? And it's like, oh, the Sandman came. They're like, yay. That's what peasants were like back then in Scandinavia. So the one guy it seems like who really changed that was Ernst Theodor Amadeus Hoffmann. E.T.A. Hoffmann was a German author who died in 1822, and he wrote a story that was called Der Sandman. I think you can translate that.
That does sound scary.
Yeah. Well, it's German,
Sure.
so it's always going to be scary no matter what. He wrote a story specifically making him sinister. He had the intent of taking children, of doing bad things once he sprinkled crap in your eyes. And then that was kind of followed up in Hans Christian Andersen's as well. There's also another one. Romanian folklore, Mos Enna, but Bonhomme Sept Euro, which is basically translates 7 o'clock guy. It's like a French version. And this dude is throwing sand in children's eyes in order to blind them so he can capture them. So he's just playing dirty from the get-go in this case with the intent of taking children. So that is basically the Sandman in a nutshell. It really did kind of blow up though in the 19th century. And then by the 20th century, we've got, the 50s song Sandman. We've got Metallica making Sandman stuff, Neil Gaiman's Sandman, which is interesting. Now I haven't read it. Please don't hurt me. Peter should be here, our friend who loves Neil Gaiman. But Neil Gaiman's series called Sandman is based off of the Greek mythology as well. I don't know how much of the Scandinavian European influence there is. Doesn't seem like there really is too much to kind of throw in there. But Morpheus Morpheus got the idea of being like the god of sleep more in the medieval period because of the associations after, they're rediscovering the classics, they're rediscovering Ovid, and that's sort of how they classify it. So it's from the sources I've read of like Britannica and Wikipedia, they kind of put an emphasis on saying like it wasn't like the Greeks and even the Romans of Ovid's time were going like he's the god of sleep, but he was clearly associated with it, and then it kind of became the god of sleep.
There were
later.
several children of Nyx that were the gods
Yeah.
of sleep and dream and that sort of
That's
thing.
right. Yeah, there were specific ones. So there was like someone who was a god of it's like nightmares, god of fantasies, god of this, and Ovid just really helped. In the same way of Hans Christian Andersen, he really helped kind of like give them a specific form and figure. The Wikipedia notes like he specifically has, or a lot of anyone who's like associated with sleep and dreams has wings and stuff like that. So it's really nice. And I think I have to say, because Kyle and I literally just rewatched the Matrix trilogy in order to prepare for the new one that's coming out, and she hadn't seen the last two, I think, ever. and
I didn't know there was a
Morpheus.
new one.
Yeah, I'm actually really excited. It's
Oh, yeah, one of the characters is named Morpheus in that.
Morpheus, Lawrence
Okay.
Fishburne's character, which has unfortunately become like the red pill, blue pill, blah, blah, blah. But that has a significance too, because Morpheus dreams. The Matrix is like a dream. It's a state that is not real. You see where these Wachowskis, they knew what they were talking about, naming Neo and Trinity. Symbolism, y'all. It's there. No, it's really cool. I have to, just as like a side note, I really enjoyed rewatching the Matrix, all of them, all three. People crap on the last two, all are good. Okay.
I watched all 3 of those with Abby. She introduced me to I had never seen it before then,
Oh, that's
and
cool.
yeah, I thought it was, it's a love story. It's what it is. It's
It's a
basically a love
lot.
story.
It's a lot. It's a whole lot. It's a Jesus, Zen, Buddhist, Taoist, Morpheus, crazy savior story. There's a lot going on. So, and when I was a kid when I was watching it, so I was just like, yeah, kung fu. But now I'm just like, oh, emotional intelligence and the meaning of life. That's like I'm more like that now. So, but anyway, so yeah, everything is very contemporary. Really, it's the 19th century, the 1800s is when the Sandman really started to come together, and in a lot of ways ended up getting morphed with Morpheus in a little bit. See what I did there? They kind of came together a little while. By the way, and on the Morpheus Wikipedia page, it notes that the creator of morphine, Friedrich Sertner, derived the name morphine from Morpheus, since it puts you in a loopy state. So that was
That's
fun.
awesome.
So, and that's another that just kind of shows you that, yeah, the association of drowsiness, sleepiness, dreamlike states, Sandman. I was kind of hoping we could see like in Ovid, him talking about Morpheus flinging sand in your face and stuff like that, but it
Oh,
doesn't
that
quite
would be
happen.
cool.
There's not a direct, yeah, not a really direct connection there, but it's also kind of cool too, because it does mean Hans Christian Andersen's kind of take on the Sandman and the other stories are they really are coming from those old stories, but those old stories don't really have any crazy roots, no writings or anything like that. So really cool story all around. I'm glad we looked into it. It wasn't as wild as I thought, but I also, while I was aware of Morpheus, I usually thought of Lawrence Fishburne, so I didn't think of Greek guys. Now I do think of Greek men, and yeah, it's a nice little story. So Cammy, thank you for bringing a story in that also tied them in together. Everyone, let me know what you think if you're a Metallica fan and you were just searching for Sandman stuff. I'm sorry, this isn't. It's a good song. It really is, but it's there's not really much there that I can add to that. Although Wikipedia does it's talked about in their page. I can tell you that for the official Sandman page. But I think that's all I've got. Cammy, would you like to add anything?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, everyone, enjoy your December, the end of the year. We've got a couple more episodes coming out. Please reach out to us. We've got our link tree in the description. You can watch this on YouTube or listen to us on the current service that you're listening to us on. So continue that, please. And let us know what you think. Let us know if you have any suggestions. If you want us to talk about a myth that we haven't talked about, let us know. We'll do it. We will. I promise. All right, everyone. Well, thanks for joining us. We will see you next time.
Oh.
Oh, Ole Lukaje.